Welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast with author Sarah F. Hathaway and co-host Chen Gibson. Blending survival, fiction, and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sarah F. Hathaway and Chen Gibson.
Hello, and welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast. This is episode number 321, season 10, episode 12. Hey, Chen, what's up?
Hey, chin's up.
Well, we're back here on the Prepper Broadcasting Network. So excited to be a member of the family. Hello, everyone. How you doing? This time we are live on the Prepper Broadcasting Network as opposed to week one when we kind of stumbled along. So we won't.
I'll tell you after we hit the 16-minute mark.
Yeah, we won't be having to watch the clock today. So
round two, ding, ding, ding.
I think you jinxed us with your getting ready for fight music beforehand.
Yeah, I only sent you one warm-up song today.
Yeah, Rage Against the Machine even, which is so epic. I was like, Chid, really? Are you raging with me? Because usually you're the one trying to
keep you off balance, man.
Yeah, you're trying to keep me under control. Chid's like, oh, you're going to have us end up in a jail cell. I'm like, I'm starting to think the other way now, buddy. All right, guys. So usually we talk a little bit about, because we blend survival fiction and fact here on this show.
Uh-huh.
So we talk a little bit about the Changing Earth novels, and we're in the bitter end right now, which is the very end of my book series. So we'll have other things to do, like the audio drama that's coming out, and it's going to be airing on PBN as well. So it's going to be the Changing Earth audio drama, and you're going to recognize a lot of the voices from the PBN network if you've been here for a while. So that's very exciting. And I think that's going to launch this coming week. So stay tuned for news on that one. But in the bitter end, we're looking today. Well, last week we were in chapter 11, and my main villain is this guy, TJ Swenson. And
he's got to die.
He's not gonna die. He's just a little misdirected and
a long, painful death.
Just a little tyrannical. Nobody knows anybody like that nowadays. Brandon.
Stop picking on Brandon.
On Brandon. So last week, Swenson was alerted to Erica's presence because her tracker system lit up, and we did a show on the Australian tracking systems and things like that. If you guys want to catch up on the novel, head on over to my podcast or to my website at changingearthseries.com. For $3, you can get access to my audiobooks, things like that, and you get to stay along with the series. Or you can go catch any recording of my show. I do have the chapter the chapter of the week, say, in the recording. So I don't have it on the live show, obviously. We don't want to sit around for 15 minutes of me reading. But on the recording show, I do have those there. So this week, we're catching back up with Bennett. And we're going to see how he takes the news of Erica's disappearance. So Bennett is
with a lot of Tums.
Yeah, with a lot of Tums. Bennett's been dealing with Erica for a while, so it's a pretty ongoing thing. So if you're listening live, we're just going to jump in. And if you're listening to the record, here we go. All right, so Bennett shares his feelings, a lot of feelings with Michelle, which is kind of against it. Chapter 12. Bennett woke up with a smile on his face. Turning over in his bed, he stared at Michelle, sleeping peacefully, watching her breathe and her red hair flutter about her nose. She slowly opened her eyes. "Good morning," she greeted him groggily. "Hello, gorgeous," he answered her back. Her beauty took his breath away, and Bennett stared at her. "What?" she asked flirtatiously, fixing her hair. "I'm just thanking God that each day I get to wake up to you," he declared sincerely. He thought back to the long, worrisome days when he was separated from her. Swenson had taken Michelle because of Bennet's relationship with Erica, but Michelle was a survivor. Michelle blushed at him, and Bennet continued his thoughts out loud. You've always been a survivor, even before the Great Quake. What makes you say that? She wondered, thinking of her past. She had always been on her own. She couldn't handle the abuse her father dished out daily and chose life on the street as her alternative. Finding odd jobs, she rented a small room. With the pennies she could save, she put herself through school and worked as a CPA for a large company before the Great Quake came. I have worries now that I haven't had to concern myself with for a long time, he admitted. What does that have to do with me being a survivor? She asked. Because I would be devastated without you, he professed. Michelle blushed a brighter shade of red. In the past, her focus and dedication to her career left her little time for the entertaining of men. I have to admit, I haven't had someone to worry about for a long time either. Bennet found her self-reliance attractive and loved her even more for it. He hugged her tightly, sighing heavily. Michelle could have stayed in that moment forever, but she knew he had obligations he needed to attend to. You better get going, she reminded him, pulling gently away and checking the time on his watch. Don't you have morning sessions with Dexter? I'm sure he'll get along fine without me, he told her, kissing her softly. The couple nuzzled one another tightly, and Bennet made slow, passionate love to her. You're so late, Michelle chided Bennet, handing him his uniform with a bright smile. Don't smile at me like that. You're going to keep me here all day, he teased back. Truth is, I don't want to train Dexter when he's all hung over. That kid can be an ass, Bennet explained, pulling up his pants. Besides, this afternoon is much more important. We'll probably be on the move tomorrow if the weather holds. We've got Amarillo surrounded. It's time to take it. Is Erica going? Michelle wondered. Heck no, Bennet retorted quickly. Sounds like a for sure victory. Shouldn't Erica be there? Michelle asked. Bennet put on his shirt, thinking about her words. It would be good for the gossip network, but not worth the risk. Javier is Swenson's man. I can't risk the tides turning and Erica getting captured again. She's not going to be happy about that, Patrick, Michelle warned, knowing Erica wanted back into the fight. His face wrinkled as he thought, and the vein in his forehead started to bulge a little. She'll deal with it. It's not my fault everyone and their brother wants to bring her in for the bounty on her head. You'll do what's best, Michelle said, semi-sarcastically, leaving him to his own devices. Bennet met Cole Vergis in his office after he left Michelle. Vergis was sitting in a chair by Bennet's desk, already poring through maps. Where have you been? Vergis asked with a sly smile. It wasn't like Bennet to be off schedule, and he could tell from Bennet's flushed cheeks that wherever he was, he had been enjoying himself. I spent the morning with the missus, Bennet admitted, returning Vergis's grin. We may be headed out in the morning, so why not enjoy today, Vergis responded, thinking about his night next to Star. Have you discussed the plans with Erica yet? No, Bennet admitted. I had to put other issues straight last time we talked. Quit putting it off. She'll have to know the defensive strategy, and you're not leaving her much time, Vergis scolded him. Johnny knows the plans, Bennet assured him. And Dexter's coming, Vergis asked. Yes, Bennet told him. Then where is he? Vergis wondered. I don't know. He's been arguing with Megan over the baby. He's probably out in the gym training away his sorrows and his hangover from last night. Star's been upset over it as well, but she doesn't even believe the baby is his. I mean, who's to say Swenson wasn't lying? Vergis asked. But still, it's not like Dexter to miss a strategy meeting. Realizing Vergis was right, Bennet went to the door of his office and carefully scanned the room. He was nowhere to be found, and no one from his crew was present either. Erica and Jeannie were absent as well. That's strange, Bennet mumbled. What? Vergis asked. No one from their crew is here, Bennet replied. I noticed that when I came in, but I figured they were at lunch, Vergis told him. He looked at his watch. Brad, Jason, Craig, Johnny, and Walker are going to be here any minute. We have to get the mission details laid out before tomorrow. I'll go find Dexter and Johnny and see where everyone is. It will only take a minute, Bennett assured him, heading out the door. The first stop Bennett made was at Dexter's home. It was the closest, and Megan was sure to be there. His hand rapped softly on the door. Hold on a second, Megan called from inside. Before long, it opened. Bennett, what are you doing here? She wondered. I'm looking for Dexter. Have you seen him? Bennett asked. No, she replied with a concerned look in her eyes. You found him last night, right? Bennett inquired. I found him over with the guys drinking and playing cards, she admitted. He came home drunk, and we had a big fight about always talking about the baby. He said he needed a break and left. Megan looked up at Bennett with tears in her eyes. Bennett grumbled, trying to hide a small smirk. He remembered his days of ditching his ladies to hang out with the guys and drink. It was the reason he had problems with multiple wives in the past. Wondering where Dexter had gone after the fight, Bennett asked. Did he go back over with his guards? I don't know. I didn't follow him. He's been so mixed up lately, Megan professed. Okay, I'll find him, Bennett told her, leaving back out the door. He went down the hall to the adjacent room and threw open the door. Grimes, Mojo, Johnny, and Guy were all passed out in the dark. Bennett flipped the lights on. The room was a mess of empty bottles, and the younger men groaned about the light. Get your lazy asses up and get to your posts, Bennett commanded in his booming voice. It was a tone his longtime friend Ben Nicholton had taught him well in many a PT session. Bennett smiled slightly, remember puking many times because of that man's sense of humor. Nicholton had always seemed incapable of having a hangover. Bennett's heart longed to see his friend, but they had lost him in the battle to get Erica back from Swenson. Up, 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 Bennett bellowed, clapping his hands and watching the men scramble to get to their feet. He could tell by the looks on their faces they knew they had messed up. Standing stiffly at attention, the young men awaited Bennett's wrath. Have any of you worthless pieces of dog-do seen Dexter? No, sir, they replied. Bennett stepped up to Johnny. When was the last time you saw him, Johnny? Bennett asked, yelling in his face. Last night, sir, Johnny replied groggily, wincing his eyes at the pain Bennett's voice was causing. You guys get this pigsty cleaned up and get your asses to the gym, Bennett declared, glaring at the young men with a disappointed look. Johnny, get there now. You're late for the command meeting. Bennett turned on his heels and slammed the door behind himself. He almost ran smack into Megan. Bennett, I found this note, Megan told him, handing him a piece of paper. Megan, went on a family picnic. We'll be back soon. Don't worry, take care of Trucker. Love, Dexter. The vein in Bennett's forehead was pulsing as it bulged on his red face. He threw the door open to the boys' room. They stared at him curiously as they finished dressing. Change of plans, Johnny. Get to the meeting now. Grimes and Mojo, go find Dexter. Guy, go to the gardens and find Vince. Bennett slammed the door closed. Go finish what you were working on, Megan. I'll find them, Bennett assured her. He stormed down the hall to Erica's home. Knocking on the door, he didn't expect a response. She didn't spend time underground unless she had to. Opening the door, he traversed the expanse to the room where the access to the above-ground home was. He found it empty as well. Performing a sweep, he discovered their outside gear, packs, and weapons were missing. When he searched the kitchen, he found the cupboards barren. Damn that woman, he cursed, heading back underground. A deep red color adorned his face and worry lines creased it deeply when he met back up with Guy, Mojo, and Grimes in the gym. We can't find them anywhere, Guy admitted. And Elizabeth said gear went out hunting this morning at the same time Vince and Erica went missing. Hunting, huh? Like the last hunting trip Erica and Vince went on, he asked. Bennett was referring to the time she and Vince left Minnesota together. They had told Vince's mom they were going hunting. The young men, on the other hand, thought Bennet was referring to the other day when they went out to hunt the antelope, but they didn't understand where Vince fit in. Do you want me to go find Jason? Grimes asked. He should be at the command meeting where I should be. We'll worry about this later. Do not wander far, Bennet instructed. Yes, sir, they replied. It was late by the time the briefing concluded, and Bennet returned to the gym. Have you had any luck? Bennet asked Guy. I searched everywhere. There is still no sign of the Moore family. Erica's guards are gone as well, Guy admitted. Star and Rob are missing too, Johnny admitted in disbelief that Dexter would leave without telling him. Bennet shook his head in frustration. I even checked with Harold, but he hasn't heard a word, Guy explained. Damn it, Bennet cursed. Keep looking. I want to know where they went, Bennet instructed, leaving down the hall to find Michelle. He stormed through the door to his room. Hello there, Patrick, Michelle greeted him as he entered. Hi, he replied, half-heartedly lost in thought. What's going on with you? She inquired. Erica's gone. The whole family is gone. So are Gear and Rob. What? Did they leave a message? Michelle fretted. Yes, the notes were vague, Bennet responded. I can't believe she would leave again. I hope they didn't go do something stupid. Just calm down, Patrick. You know Erica, she'll turn up, Michelle consoled him. Yeah, but what kind of trouble will she be in when she does? He fumed, sitting down in a chair. She's a big girl, Patrick. They're all great fighters. She took her guards, right? Michelle asked. Yeah, Bennet responded, thankful Erica had at least done something intelligent. There you go. She's probably just off hunting, Michelle concluded, grabbing a couple beers and sitting down with him at the table. As she drank, she commented, If you kept me on as short a leash as you keep her on, I'd probably find a way out too. Don't you ever say that, Bennet insisted, rapidly standing from his chair. His sudden movement surprised Michelle, and she jumped back. Say what? She asked, wondering what had set him off. Don't say that I keep her on a leash. Swenson literally kept her on a leash, he explained. I didn't mean it like that, Patrick, Michelle replied, reflecting on her choice of words. I'm just saying, you do keep her locked up. She can't go do the things she loves, like hunting. She can't even go into town without a full regiment, and you standing there like a bulldog. Bennet sat back down, trying to understand Michelle's point of view. He quietly sipped his beer for a moment, looking down at the bubbles in his drink. You didn't see her, Michelle, he commented quietly, swirling the contents of his glass. She wasn't even Erica anymore. He was in her mind. Bennet looked up at Michelle. Honestly, I don't know how she came back, but she did. I can't lose her again. I swore I would protect her and her family. Michelle sat calmly across from him. Looking into his eyes, she confessed, I know exactly how T.J. Swenson can get into your mind. And I was so weak, it didn't even take drugs or scars. Michelle's voice quivered as she spoke, and she paused for a moment to gather up her breath. But what is all that survival for if you're not allowed to live? Looking at Michelle, Bennet was in awe of her beauty. His heart ached seeing the pain in her gorgeous eyes. He kicked himself for his selfishness, rising from his chair to hold her. She cried in his arms, gaining strength from the embrace. Together they found solace from the pain, holding each other tightly, and slept soundly through the night. Very early the next morning, Bennet awoke to a knock at the door. Bennet, Harold yelled, are you up? Bennet traversed the small expanse and opened the door. I didn't mean to wake you, Harold said, seeing his early morning condition. Yes, you did, Bennet replied, rubbing his hand through his walrus mustache. What's up, Harold? Patrick, Harold began. Seldom, if ever, had Harold used Bennet's first name. Bennet hung in suspense, awaiting this news that warranted such a rarity. Erica's tracker lit up. He blurted out the words, knowing the danger she could be in. Bennet closed his eyes for a moment in disbelief. Where? He demanded as he opened his eyes. To the north of Dallas, Harold informed him. Oh, shit, Bennet said, standing back to allow Harold inside. Does Swenson know? He lit up the lines with the news. They're locking down the borders, Harold admitted. There's no way in or out. Holy hell, Bennet fumed. We're all set to go for Amarillo today. All right, so Bennet shares his feelings, a lot of feelings with Michelle, which is kind of against his, grain, to be doing all that sharing. He's assuming that Erica is going to stay out of the fray of these next ongoing battles that they're entering, which, Erica doesn't always live up to assumptions. And then he expects her to be in these certain positions at certain times. So when he finds out that his assumptions and expectations were misplaced, it takes Michelle.
And there's a knock on the door.
Yeah. Well, Michelle really sets him straight. Yeah, when Harold comes.
Yeah. Where?
By the way, did you know that Erica's tracker just lit up? Problem.
Yeah.
So it's good for his character at this point to have Michelle be doing that growth.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. So one of the greatest quotes that you found in my book, which I totally just skimmed over this time. What's all that survival for if you're not allowed to live? So I loved that one. So that's the one we're going to feature this week. So today we're doing the podcast on these assumptions and these expectations that really build the construct of our life, and how some of them are about to be shattered. And if you go back in my episodes, I've done a lot of episodes on cognitive dissonance and how when you're expecting things to go a certain way and they don't, what the ramifications of that can be psychologically to you. That's really where you don't want to be stuck when you're in a preparedness situation. What do you call it, Chin? Analysis paralysis.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That you just
a fire hose of information getting wailed on you.
Right, yeah, and then none of it makes sense with your belief structure, and so you're like, really, is this is reality? Okay, well, here we go. So we want to stay adaptable. We want to be able to overcome these things and easily glide through it without a lot of tums.
Poor guy.
So in American history, each generation has been called upon to make sacrifices to ensure the freedom of this country. I would say the baby boomers probably had it easiest. I mean, they had Vietnam, but it wasn't like a world war or something, right? So I think we need to be prepared for something like this, for sacrifices. I hope it's not a war. Although, if you study the historical pattern of pandemics, healing, war, boom, that's how it goes. It's really interesting if you look at those patterns. It's almost like this is a forced moment of pandemic, healing, war, right?
Yeah. Does it feel forced?
Does it? Does it? Because I'm feeling a little forced. I love the one video that you sent me that was like, if it was Ebola Patriot? And there was 50% of us. No, I love that one too. Yeah. But it's the guy that he leans a little left and I can't always stand him.
Oh, yeah, with the beanie?
Yeah.
Yes. He makes some good points. Yeah, I hear you. But he comes with some good points. I don't watch him all the time, but I dip in there once in a while.
Yeah. And that he had said
the Timcast.
Yeah. Yeah, and he was talking about oh darn, I totally forgot where I was going with that now. But that was a good...
About freedom of choice, basically.
Yeah. He was saying if it was Ebola, with like a 50% mortality rate, then we'd all be out there like, yeah, dude, I don't want to get that stuff. Right?
Yeah, he basically was like, you wouldn't have to mandate it because people are like, get out of my way. I'm first in line, right?
Right. But this is like 0.001, I mean... There's going to be stuff that happens. There's cold and flus every year. So
and I loved his guest that was saying how you're forced to take it. If you don't take it, you can't go. But the people that have gotten the test, have gotten the shot, have gotten and they can go and not be checked on positive or negative status. And actually be spreaders, right?
Yes.
But the person is probably that has like natural immunity. They can like show up and be actually safer to the crowd than the person that's a carrier spreader.
Yeah.
It's like
totally true.
It's so upside down. It's so.
And I was reading this article too about this town in Ireland. And they're like 99% vaxxed. And they have the highest rates of COVID death. Yeah.
You read that wrong.
No.
You had to have.
I swear, check it out.
Sarah.
I didn't send you that one, but check. I mean, it's crazy. I was like, boy, that's really working, Sign me up for some stuff that nobody really knows what it's going to do. So the big question is, are we going to, sacrifice these things for our country so we can get back online? And we're going to even go over that. Like, is there a back online for the USA at this point? So some of the expectations and assumptions. So we have certain societal norms, and they are being challenged at every facet right now of life. And crime becoming more acceptable is one of the huge changes that I see that is going to be a very big problem. If you have a lawless society with laws, imagine what it would be like if we did have a major incident where those laws were removed. I mean, now you're just crazy.
It's just a tiny little glimpse.
Yeah. So they already have these laws where it's like, oh, well, if it's, under $700 worth of theft, you're not going to be charged for theft. We have police force people quitting in mass numbers because of the mandates. So that's not going to help this situation.
And tell me, who's quitting? Are the nasty cops quitting or are the good?
Yeah, fair enough. Good point. The ones who aren't quitting
just
are the ones...
wondering how that's going to work out in the long run.
Yeah. They're the ones who are willing to swallow the pill and go along with the program. Not the ones who are like, no, I'm not going to go against the Constitution. Those are the ones... Yeah. Really valid point there. I didn't even think about that aspect of it. So the story you sent me, there was a woman raped on public transit.
In Philly, wasn't it?
Yeah. I can't bring it up.
Yeah, I think it was Philly.
Yeah. That people sat there and watched this happen.
And they had it all on camera. There was security cameras inside the car.
I'm sorry, but no, I could never. I mean, you must be so numb or afraid of the world that you wouldn't do something or say something or at least pick up your phone and call 911.
Yep.
I mean, I don't want to get involved because I don't want to, be on the spotlight or something maybe. Because
I don't want my wife or my daughter to be in that position or...
Yeah.
Why? Yeah.
Why would you not speak up about this? I just see that as like a total numbing of our population or the fear.
There's minding your own business, and then there's just
and then there's just turning a blind eye to blatant illegal activity.
Like the
that's
law of the
gross.
sea, you're always supposed to help a boater in need, right? It's just
Yeah,
that's the way it is.
exactly.
Same thing.
You
That was
see
the
a
law of the
woman
train.
being raped on
Yeah,
the train. I
yeah.
mean, wow. I would go over there and probably kick that, I mean,
Play
wow.
soccer.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get my kicking practice in, I'm telling you. And then we had the co-ed bathroom incident.
Oh my goodness, at the high
Being
school. That's that. Mm.
Yeah. You wanna take this one? You're pretty fired up about this one.
Well, I mean, I don't have a daughter, but I could just imagine how any father feels right now when they hear about this story. How so the guy actually went to a educational board meeting to see basically fact finding, I guess. His daughter was raped in the school girls' bathroom by a boy wearing a dress.
There it
So the
is.
father was fired up, went to the school board to figure out what was going on. They denied it. They said, A, it didn't happen. They were trying to get some transgender stuff worked through the school or something. So they wanted to basically put it under the rug. The father got a little fired up. Cops got involved, and he got arrested. So he's still in legal action, I guess, now. But after that, they transferred the boy who wore a dress and likes to rape girls in the bathroom. They transferred him to a different school, and he did it again. So I mean, oh my goodness.
I'm speechless. Like, how can you cover up
And then I
for
was
agenda?
reading like another story where like the school board was trying to hide under. They were like, well, whenever there's like police involvement, the board isn't made aware of it, and the police need to do their job and do their investigation, and then it gets brought to us. I'm like, if
No.
there's student safety, don't you think that there's going to be some kind of, we have to have a bulletin put out amongst teachers and school board,
Yeah.
don't give me that line.
No. And then what teenage boy wouldn't think that's great? Oh, all I got to do is wear a skirt and I could go into
I'm telling you, that's just.
And this is what I'm talking about.
They're opening up all these avenues for perverts to do bad things.
I mean,
or criminals to do bad things. Both.
Exactly. When you send your kid to school, it's under the assumption that they're going to be protected there, like they are by their parents.
They're going to come out better than when they went in, right? Because they're going to be educated and they're going to be have a meal and do gym class.
It's going to be a safe environment, though, too.
Yep.
Like, we understand that, like, social BS goes on. But your daughter getting raped in the bathroom is not social
acceptable.
BS.
It's not acceptable.
That's not okay. That is crazy.
But it's just because, I mean, these stories are back to back to back nowadays. It's not just like once a quarter or once a year we're hearing like this ugly, like Son of Sam back in the 70s or 80s, like there was like, there's always been like a monster case every year, right? There's kind of some, but it seems like now it's like the case of the day.
All the time.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I've been noticing societally is they've been showing a lot more police brutality everywhere. Almost like get ready, erode the vision that police aren't supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, look at the images coming out of Australia and stuff.
Yeah, that one, the Freedom Day rally that they had down there.
Yeah.
And they, like, a linebacker takes out this poor 77-year-old lady, boom, just tackles her. And then there's like a little victory dance with some OC spray in her face. I'm like, why?
Why? That's not okay. Like, it's not. People are allowed to express their opinions in a peaceful rally. At least in our country, they are. I
don't know. If you saw, and the cop didn't even have his mask was like down halfway over his mouth. It wasn't even. I had to like even laugh at that because so they're like all health conscious, and the whole thing was you have to have your shot and wear your mask. The person enforcing it isn't even enforcing his own rule.
Even wearing the mask.
Yeah.
No. And but out of Europe, I mean, we've been just seeing a lot more cases of police brutality. It seems like it's on an uptick. So to assume that and I'm not saying police, I would, because like you say, what police officers are staying there?
Oh, this is a little tangent,
right?
A little squirrel. Whoop, squirrel.
Yeah.
But you saw this week they had a mass shooting, but it was with bow and arrow in Europe. And then they had
a bow and arrow mass shooting?
Yes. Yeah, no, serious.
That's
and
crazy.
Then they had a stabbing. They killed a prime minister. It wasn't the prime minister, but it was like a politician in a church. He was doing like a meeting with his constituents in a church in England, and somebody went in and stabbed him to death. So, yeah, evil Americans with their guns, but here bows and arrows and knives are being used, in Europe to mayhem.
Yeah, they outlawed knives there. They did. Well, the butchers were up in arms. Don't you? Yeah. The butchers were like, excuse me? What do you expect us to do? Like, chew it with your teeth.
Yeah, here's your cow.
So,
sorry, that was a little squirrel moment.
No, I like it.
Those are two other incidents that happened this week. I'm like, holy smokes.
Right. So I'm just saying, like, if we're already headed down that path, imagine if the laws were suddenly removed and where we'd be. So people are like, oh, well, that wouldn't happen in a post-apocalyptic situation. What? Are you crazy?
It's happening now.
My wife's a nurse, so she wouldn't be, on a target for that kind of thing. No, she would be. It's just a bonus that she has medical training as well. I mean, come on, you gotta be kidding me. So these are expectations and stuff that we need to like understand.
Yeah.
It's going to be different, and it already is different. Like
you almost have to like take your expectations and form them around the context of today.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's evolving, and we have to evolve with it, or we'll have cognitive dissonance when these things arrive. So another expectation that we have is we expect our stores to be full, products plentiful, cheap, right? And if you guys have been listening to the Changing Earth podcast for any length of time, I've been on this kick for, a year now about the food shortages. Oh, maybe even a year or longer, because we were talking about it.
Christian, right?
Yeah, exactly. We were talking about it.
Yeah, we were talking about him for a while.
Yeah. Exactly. I think 2 years ago, because I was tracking the USDA's when we had all the floods that took out huge amounts of food storage and things like that. So the situation hasn't gotten any better.
No.
And the reality is we're going to have to choose what do you need and you can't live without. And we have to be prepared with those things. We have to be prepared if we have to prepare them ourselves or find local markets, things like that. But
adjust, adapt, and overcome, right? So
exactly.
So if you used to always once a week go out to the store, now's a good time to, like, while you can, stock up on a couple things here and there. Or like James is always talking about finding local supply, finding a butcher or a gardener or stuff. Finding local supplies so you're not going to Walmart to buy this stuff.
Oh, the local
Walmart
beef.
only has,
Yeah, local beef is so much better anyway.
Yep.
And now with the prices of beef, it's just insanity out there.
Yep.
I was at the store today and I was like, are you serious? I usually buy big pork loins and then I can just cut it up and break it down myself. Now they're cutting it into these little small pieces and like charging you the same amount.
Yeah.
I was like, this is crazy. So guess what? I'm pushing for a pig. I'm pushing for a pig. I want to get a pig so I can butcher it because it's the best bacon ever. Brock's like, can you just cut it all into bacon?
I know. I like me some pulled pork barbecues. So those
fair
Boston
enough.
butts make a.
You're right.
You got to have something for lunch. You can't just eat breakfast all day long.
But yeah, our little semi-country area, I've already got my chickens, and get ready because I'm going to have a pig soon. I will talk him into it. So,
do they let it there? Do they allow it there?
Oh yeah, we're allowed to. We're in a rural area, so we're allowed to do whatever we want here. I could have a cow out there but I don't really have the space for it. Yeah, and I don't like raising cows. There's enough people in Texas raising cows that you can find local beef. But not a lot of people actually raise pigs. I mean, there's wild boars, but And
grab
then
yourself a helicopter, get you some.
Yeah. You can do the 50 cal up in the panhandle from the helicopter.
That's America.
And then
right
we're gonna get a deer this year too. We got in on a hunting lease, so that'll be good.
Cool.
Yeah. So stocking our own stuff, because for me, I'm seeing meat as the big problem. My husband loves to eat meat. There is no way we're not eating meat for dinner. So I'm like, okay, how are we going to circumvent this? Also, our planet hasn't helped the situation out at all as far as our food goes. So, there's your daughter being all snotty in the background.
The furry one. Yep,
yeah.
She's got to be part of the show.
So as the story of these shortages became more mainstream, isn't it funny how they're like, oh, it's all because of the virus. It's all because of the truckers. It's all because of shipping. And I was like, wait a minute, we've been talking about this for like years.
It's been slowly degrading, and now they have a reason to point fingers.
Exactly. That works for their narrative, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like,
and then
okay.
and then we have a work shortage, but what do? They put restrictions on what people can work and what people can't work, and what you have to do to be able to be allowed to work.
Yep.
Does that help the work shortage?
No, they're just trying to,
squeeze them out.
They're just at it. They're hacking from the inside. Yep.
Making it worse and worse.
Glenn Beck used to say, top down, bottom up, and they'll squeeze the middle class.
Mm-hmm.
So, the tinfoil hatters are out there, and they're like, well, the shortages are being done purposefully just so that we can, cause that, what we're talking about, that control over people, which I 100% believe. They have to cause pain in order to do their great reset where they saved us all, right?
Yeah, because not everybody can have a pig in the backyard, right? So
exactly.
They can, you want the fake burger or do you want a real hamburger?
Yep. Yeah. I'm sorry. I would definitely help people with if they need some pig in the backyard. I will raise it for you. I was talking to Brock about that today. I was like, it's a good thing that nurses aren't like being fired in Texas. We don't have that going on.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, we're going to all have to be, our assumption too is that everybody can take care of themselves, right? But things are going to get hard, and we're going to have to stand together.
That's a high expectation to think everybody can take care of themselves nowadays.
Exactly. And that's why I was like, we're going to have to be more charitable. Like, we have an extra bedroom. Mm-hmm. And if I knew a nurse that was being fired because she didn't want to take the vax and then she lost her house or something because of him, I would offer the space. We're all going to have to learn to be a little bit more charitable so we can stand together.
Mm-hmm.
We can't just be like, oh, no, it's all about me. It's all about me and I and this. Because
that's how it used to be, right? I mean, it used to be families and churches used to take care, right?
Right.
And then the government stepped in with their social benefit projects.
Yep. And then social media steps in. That spread us even farther away from our local community. And there's great things about it. One of my best friends lives in South Carolina. One of my best friends lives in Australia, and without these things,
so you're part of the problem now.
Right? Well, I mean, I'm just saying I'm not on Facebook, so I'm not giving Zuck that that power. But I'm just saying that we wouldn't be so privy if we didn't have that. We wouldn't have like the social spread that we do.
No.
So we would be more community focused still. Okay. We kind of killed that one. Expect shortages, guys. They're coming. When you have lamestream media telling you it, and the preparedness community has been talking about it for years.
And step back and review what you have and what you can do to overcome that obstacle.
Yeah.
Don't just say, "Oh my goodness, I have to eat spaghetti for the rest of my life." Figure it out.
Yep, and hopefully we get to go back to more of a made in America based.
Yeah.
And we go back
yeah.
into local production of things. And things are going to adapt and overcome. We just have to get there. And might I say that books make a great Christmas present. You could get mine at Changing Earth Series. No, I'm kidding. But I'm not kidding, but yeah. Okay. The shameless plug.
Join the EOC. I mean, because there's tons of great people in this chat. I mean, there's all different.
Yeah.
You can ask the question. People will help you out with answers or suggestions, or they post articles all the time.
You got to explain to the
great.
Changing Earth listeners what the EOC is.
So it's element.io. You have to set up an account there. It's kind of like a social media, but it's owned by you own your server. So like James Prepper Broadcasting Network, this is his. He has control. He can kick people out. He can, he's the king, right?
Yeah.
So, but that also means that we were on other networks and been getting kicked off. So we found this, and it lets us be who we are and not worry about the overlords of technology peeing in our pool.
It creates a safe space.
Yes. So
it's awesome.
It has all different rooms basically. They're just, like themed place. Like if you want to talk about gardening, there's a garden room, so you can go in there and exchange ideas or local, events and stuff. So it's really cool. All you have to do is you have to go to element.io, sign up for an account, and then get with one of the hosts and ask for to be invited into
and I think you can do it on the Prepper Broadcasting website too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So
go over there.
It's good stuff. It's great stuff. It really is.
Awesome people. Awesome people. Okay. Expect that the U.S. dollar has purchasing power. We all expect that. We've been so spoiled. We're like top dog for how long, Yeah, that expectation's about to be blown out of the water, folks. One of my favorite memes lately is, oh gosh, I suck with names. The big guy that was in Tommy Boy, the big actor.
Oh, yeah. Down by the river guy.
Yeah.
In the van.
And he's like yelling at Biden and Pelosi, and he's like, will you quit spending money that doesn't exist? And they're just rapidly spending the heck out of it. So not only that, but they're printing the heck out of it. And every bit of that is just going to destroy the purchasing power of the American dollar, which means as things are going through shrinkflation, as they are becoming more scarce and more expensive because of the law of economics, your purchasing power is also going to go down.
Yeah.
So start thinking about getting out of debt, what you can pay off right now, because paying off debt, I mean, I'm just as guilty, but paying off debt at the same time.
Like credit cards and adjustable stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
Big time. You want to get out of that.
Mm-hmm. So that would be a great focus, and that rapid inflation it can make it a lot tougher to pay those bills and put food on the table. And in some areas.
When the packaging shrinks and the price goes up, but your income isn't going up,
right?
What are you going to do?
Exactly. And the shrinkflation sucks. Like I have a family of 4. Like things I used to be able to buy, and it was like, oh yeah, that'll feed us all. No, now I got to buy 2. It's just crazy. I can't even believe the cans are getting smaller. Like physically, the cans are getting smaller.
Yep.
So why would our government do that? You guys can go ahead and extrapolate your own reasons for that. Probably nothing nice is going to come out of my mouth if I try to answer that question. So I'm just going to pose the question to you. Is there anything that we can do about it? No. Not really. I would say invest money back in America so that when things do start crashing, we have, at least the facilities to be able to produce things that we need.
Spend wisely.
Spend wisely, yeah. James is working on that right now.
Yep.
Ways that we can spend money that keep our dollars supporting people that are on the correct path that we see that for our ethical values.
Yep.
So the things like that, I mean, that's the best thing you can do about it. But there's nothing we can do about them printing money and spending it faster than we can blink an eye. So how will our societal norms that we talked about at the beginning, how is that going to continue to morph as more and more people run out of enough money to put food on their table? Like here in the United States, even our poor people are better off than the poor people in other countries. Hands down. So that situation is going to continue to get harder and harder and grip tighter and tighter. And then what will happen to our crime rates? And will people have the ability to continue to be charitable? When you're struggling to put food on your table, how much are you going to give when they ask, hey, can you give can you donate for the food bank? Stuff like that.
When taxes go up because they have to provide more services, provide quote unquote more services. So you have less money in your bank account to deal with.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then the assumption that you're free to choose what happens to your body and your family. That's a good one to touch on a little bit. We don't want to touch too hard on it because everybody knows what will happen. So, but the double narrative is just astounding how they can be like, oh, my body, my choice. And then, oh, well, you have to do this for the good of society.
Yeah.
It doesn't, there's an ethical flaw there. Honestly, I've been against it from the beginning because I was asked to put something on my body that I didn't want to. And I don't really care why ask me to do that, but I'm free to do with me what I want to do with me. That's always been my belief. You can swing your arms as long as you're not smacking somebody else with it. And so you asking me to do that is like you smacking me across the face and, okay, for the good of society or whatever. Well, if you're in that risk area, then you probably should be out.
State some cases of where the good of society statement was used to the detriment of society, right?
Right? Like
by very evil people.
Germany.
just kind of thinking outside the box.
Just saying.
I don't want to get us banned 2 shows in, but
right, yeah, exactly. But so I'm not buying this all good of society when we're in a society of individuals who have agreed to unite for a better cause, not been forced to unite for a better cause.
It goes back to that Timcast that I shared with you. That was like, if it was, 40% death rate, and people would be clamoring to get to the front of the line at the doctor's office to get treated, as opposed to, we're looking at, I am digesting this data in my own mind, and, I'm kind of doing what feels right for me. Yeah,
don't work. And we've even done that show before on leadership and, how to become a tyrant. They're following the playbook.
Maybe we shouldn't have published that show.
I know. Seriously.
Somebody was listening.
I've thought about going back to the one, too, where we had the communist agenda and reviewing that list again. We should definitely do that. That's a good idea. Maybe in the next Swenson chapter.
Great.
Yeah, because, he's such a cheery guy.
When
we
he
might
dies?
as well follow up with the cheery stuff. Now, I'm just going to ignore that comment. So,
for all the new listeners, Swenson really got under my skin, so much so that Sarah wrote a whole nother book just on his story. And so she just really rubs it in.
Yeah.
Every time I get a chance, I try to plant the seed that he needs to die, but it hasn't worked yet. So there's a little background to bring you up to
Yeah,
speed.
Chen loved to hate him so much. I had to go back and do his whole backstory for him.
It's actually a really good book, but I hate saying it, but it's an excellent book.
You almost feel sorry for him.
You
For
do at the beginning.
Yeah, for like a second.
Yeah.
All right, so and then the crimes that are just happening, and they've been covering up all this stuff just to forward this agenda. We're not seeing what's really happening from the outcome of these shots and what the long-term repercussions of this is going to be. And that is all very disturbing to me as well.
Yep.
So you asked me to put a mask on my face? No. I'm not going to put a burqa on my body. I'm not going to put a mask on my face. Thanks a lot, but no. So it's not going to happen. So I'm just curious, as this grip tightens, what comes next? Okay, we got like 5 minutes before the Changing Earth news, and we got a lot. We got a lot to get through still. All right, so the expectation that justice is blind. If you guys haven't seen this in black and white, I mean, we were talking about this pre-show. Look at the difference between how they treated Antifa members versus how they treat the people from the January 6th incident, which
Yep.
I just think they just blew that up just so they'd have an excuse to lock up conservatives. Personally. So,
I mean, I was telling Sarah about the poor guy in jail. He's one of the accused people from the 6th, and he's in jail. He breaks his wrist, and the people in the jail aren't letting him get surgery for medical procedure to help with that break. The judge had to step in and say, you have to let this man go to the hospital.
mm-hmm. That's
insane.
Disgusting.
Yes.
And the other thing is money talks. So, like, you're not really in trouble if you have enough money to get out of that or enough prestige. Look at Brandon's son. Okay?
Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon. And look at this horrible, disgusting individual. He is slime. He is pedophilia. It is gross. And, you know, he's just free to walk around just... okay, a lot of nice things are not going to come out if I continue down that line, but that is
He's
obvious.
free to go pick up his laptop at the repair shop.
Yeah, that is just the obvious that money and your political prestige or whatever, if you're in the elite group, well, it really doesn't matter. So justice is not blind.
And you can't say, because look at what President number 45 got dragged through the mud, right? Yeah, but he had money.
Yep.
But president or person sitting in 46 role is,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and they tried so hard to find things on 45 kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
They tried so hard. I mean, here, it's just like, here you go, silver platter. And they're like, we don't have any evidence of that. And I forgot my glasses today. And, I mean, come on. Yeah, unbelievable.
So,
right.
Lady Justice is kind of...
Yeah, she needs to...
change her prescription.
Yeah. Get a rope in Texas, find a tall oak tree.
Jeez.
Round up all them bad boys. All right, so the assumption is that the USA will not fracture. I want you to think about this one for a minute, because it is my belief that we are well on the way to the United States fracturing. I wish that Texas would secede, because I don't know that we can come back together anymore. Like, anyone who believes in the Bill of Rights can't agree with someone who cancels you for not agreeing with them. Freedom is about diversity and about understanding one another, and maybe not agreeing with one another, but at least understanding one another. Not canceling them because they wouldn't walk lockstep with you. That's ridiculous. And then anyone who believes that people must be forced to do things for the greater good won't come together with people who believe in individual liberties.
Yep.
There's a cognitive dissonance there. I know I've used that word a lot today, but it's kind of what the show's all about. There's a mental break, and you can't cross that. You're either so hard set on one side or the other that there's no real crossing that line. And I wish I could, because I do understand a lot of the social things that need to happen, because each generation has to kind of break their own teeth and have their own things, and that's fine. But I don't believe that those things should be forced down my throat, and I'm not allowed to live how I want to. Now I have to follow this system. That's just utterly ridiculous. It should not be. It's
like what we're saying. If it's that good or that bad, which is what we used earlier. But if something is that good, if an idea is that good, then people will just naturally be drawn to it, right? Yeah. But you should not, and you can't force people one way or the other, right? So it's either, it's kind of the carrot, not the stick.
Exactly.
If it's that good, then people want to jump on that bandwagon and be part of it.
Yeah, I agree. It's like, I don't preach God. God's a part of my life, and I share, that belief that I have and how it affects me. But I'm never going to push it on you and say oh, you should do this too because it's going to be better for you, and you're never going to reach. No, that's not.
Right, but if I like what I see in you and what I hear from what you're saying, the message that you're giving, then I'll probably ask you more about it, or I'll probably join in with what you're doing.
Exactly, and then we go down the road together. And if you want to turn left and I don't, well, that's fine.
That's fine, right?
It's okay. We can meet again up later. Not a big deal. But they're making it such a big deal that it's insane.
Yep.
So how do we form these assumptions and expectations? We form them from the news we receive, for the most part. Whatever that comes at, from our parents, on our upbringing, from our friends, from our news medias, and from different resources that we have. So we all form these assumptions and expectations about our world. Our news media can't be trusted when it's trying to force a narrative. Like you say, it's pushing you this direction instead of showing you how great it is and asking you to come along. And
or just showing you what's going on and letting you make your own informed decision.
Bingo. Because the government now at this point believes that they need to be our parent, that they need to decide what is best for us and what we're allowed to know and what we're not allowed to know, so that they can direct the poor little sheeple down there just working away, who don't have the education to understand the ramifications of these things. Another big problem. Not going to want to hear what comes out of my mouth on that one. So I think that there's an issue there. I think we're doing a great job, too, of finding alternative methods to get news out. Although I really still wish I could see that objective, unbiased report of what's going on without the right spin, without the left spin. I think that alternative channels, they're just going to spin it, right. Which is why I do watch Tim sometimes, because he is fairly objective on some issues.
It's funny when he gets on the right for saying, no, I'm not really a Republican or something. He's it's kind of funny.
Why we got to live in a box? Why do we have to live in that box? I don't understand it either. All right, our final assumption is that the Earth is a stagnant rock and this place is never going to change. But guys, ramp on up, because we are going to see changes over the next 4 to 10 years. I can pretty much 100% guarantee you that in one way or another. So having all your preps, really buckling down, getting to know your wild foraging and how you're going to adapt and overcome is essential. So while we're on that topic, let's go ahead and jump into our Changing Earth news. Can you hear the music now, Chin? All right, hold on. I'm going to
man.
play it for you. Hold on. Here we go. Changing Earth news. Do you get to hear it now?
No, I don't.
What?
But that's okay. That's part of the mystique.
Man. Yeah, like, come on. I was thinking since we're live casting on PBN, it would be better than when we're over on Twitch.
Nope.
So.
There's still some things Chin's not allowed to know.
Yep. Well, that's okay. That's okay. I'll take care of you. You can trust me, Chin.
He'll tell me when to shut up and when I can talk, huh?
Yes, exactly. Typical
Wait,
woman role.
were we just talking about this? My expectations on a co-host for this show were...
Yeah. Oh, don't make me hold the new car over you again. I'm just saying.
Uh-huh.
All right. So good news is that after last week, that CME did hit, but we did not see we did see some stormage from it, but they hit, the wind hit, and then the CME hit later. It gave our Earth a chance to rebound, and so we took it in stride. It was good stuff. There has been a couple of CMEs going off, but they're not Earth-facing. And we're looking pretty good as far as that goes this week. We have one on the south end of the sun. It's getting ready to turn in, so we do have eyes on that one. It just erupted, this morning, but it looks pretty good. La Palma volcano over in Spain is another issue. They're now up to 4.5 magnitude earthquakes at La Palma. So eastern seaboard, just, keep a heads up on it. Keep an eye on it because that is landslide concern territory for that magnitude earthquake. So we want to keep our eyes on that. Did you see any of that footage from the last week?
For
La Palma? Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. My wife is addicted to that. We have
did you see the
nighttime volcano shots are like incredible.
Yes. And when the cone collapsed, there was like house-sized lava rocks and blobs coming out of it.
That's what I was telling her. I said, like, they need to put like a little graph to show me like how high up this is shooting and what it looks like little sparklies, right? But you know that those are monster like rocks,
miles in
like
there.
boulders coming out.
Yeah.
But it just like little sparklies. It's
big
gorgeous,
as a house.
But
yeah. I mean, this is insane. Like 1% of that island is now covered in lava. And they've evacuated 8% of the population. Yep. So
a new island's being formed or reformed.
Yeah. Oh, you won't be able to grow on it.
This happens, right? I mean, Hawaii is just a bunch of volcano islands,
changing
right?
Earth. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hawaii's growing. Indonesia is constantly under motion. Japan's moving. These things happen. We're just we're kind of programmed to just believe that, like, because it's been this way always, it's always going to be that way, but it's not at all.
Hey, the minute they rob Pluto of its planetary status, my whole world, my whole universe was blown.
I know, back to Pluto for you.
Yeah, it just bugs me.
Oh, but there's like water there and stuff, so it's good.
That's good.
All right, so flooding. We're going to go from October 9th to the 15th. So, we got to take a couple days in between. But flooding on the 9th, India got hit. India has just been getting hit after hit after hit. They are in a pickle. I hope that their weather doesn't come to us on wintertime. It kind of looks like it's going to. Venezuela had major flooding. Greece is another country that got absolutely slammed this week. They had flooding there, severe mud flows, landslides, damaging house and vehicles. And then they got hit by another massive storm on the 14th. And some of the old, I can't think of the old, where the ruins are and everything like that. Those cities were just flooded out. It was crazy stuff. China saw its share of flooding. Shanghai province has been getting, or the Shaanxi province has been just getting pummeled as well. There's been 100 or 1.75 million people affected by this flooding and 120,000 people evacuated. Dude, I mean, it's huge. And it's also in their crop region, which is another food shortage issue. You guys got to go back and listen to some of the food shortage episodes. Thailand got 300 millimeters of rain, causing flooding in 162 villages there. So actually, the flooding's kind of down this week from what we normally have to discuss, but we saw some other big storms. On the 11th, Kampasu, it was a tropical storm. It hit the Philippines, and over a 2-day period, 4 people were dead, 11 missing. It was mostly due to a landslide activity. On the 13th, Pamela hit in Sonolia, Mexico. And even where I'm at, we were expecting some of the rain from that, but it really just stuck on the coast. It didn't push very far in, but they saw some massive flooding there in Mexico. And then on the 13th, Kampatsu moved over to Hong Kong, and they got hit with their second tropical storm in less than a week. So those people are just been dealing with it as well as far as severe weather goes. The sun, so from that CME that I reported on last week, it hit on the 12th. It was an M class 1.6, and it did like some damage to some of our spacecraft, but not to the planet. Volcano-wise,
so all the billionaires flying their private spacecraft are worried about that.
Did you hear that William Shatner's going up in space?
The actor, yeah.
Yes! Yeah. Captain Kirk,
Captain Kirk.
Is he going to bring the Vulcans back? That'd be awesome.
Stardate.
He's got to do a captain's log while he's up there. I mean,
man, it's like...
That'd be so cool.
Required.
It is at that point. Okay, so we talked about La Palma, that main cone. It collapsed on the 9th. That was some really spectacular footage. And then on the 11th, Volcan de Fuego in Mexico just had these massive explosions. There was 7 to 11 of them per hour. Really cool footage if you want to go check that out. Volcan de Fuego. Check that out.
Sounds like a cool bar.
I know, it does.
Go down the Volcan de Fuego for a cocktail happy hour.
Some tequila, man. We've been getting unusually early snow. There was already some snow up in the Sierra Mountains of California, which is great. They're so drought stricken. They can take anything they can get right now. But on the 12th, Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, they got pummeled with the early season snowstorm. Slowed traffic, all the usual mishaps from that kind of stuff happening. So welcome winter in October to the West. As far as thunderstorms, hail, tornadoes, a notable size, on the 10th, Oklahoma saw baseball-sized hail. It dented cars. There was no death. There was minor tornadoes that happened, and then Arkansas, Kansas, Missouri, and parts of the Panhandle in Texas were also affected by that. Pakistan saw severe hail and wind in Islamabad. And how crazy is that? You live in the desert, and it's just like all of a sudden it's just like huge hailstorm. So I need to do more research as far as how often that happens, but I'll tell you what, it's been happening a lot lately. Libya. I hear Chin typing away. He's my fact checker. He's my fact checker. Libya got.
I can't get away with nothing.
I know, right? Libya has a cold air depression that hit it. It was just unseasonably cold, wind, hail. So that I know that one was out of character for Libya. And then Illinois saw a tornado on the 11th. On the same day that Greece had that huge storm and flooding, they had water spouts, just like massive amounts of them coming off of the Mediterranean there. It was really neat to see the footage of it. And then on the 12th, Oklahoma and Kansas, there was that big weather system that came through from the west. It brought all kinds of tornadoes to Oklahoma and Kansas. On the 14th, New South Wales, I knew about this on the 14th because Ellen gave me a call. New South Wales got hit by a tornado again. it's very, very rare, and it doesn't happen very often that tornadoes actually go through that area, and they got hit with another one within like a month's time. That it's very, very rare. On the 15th, there was a funnel cloud spotted in New York, but there was no touchdown from that. And then there was so much hail in Colombia that it covered the capital there with ice. They had flooding, hail, and ice in Colombia, like where coffee's grown. Okay.
Oh, that's not going to help our coffee. We better get your disaster coffee orders in now.
Right? Get the coffee orders in. That stuff is going to skyrocket. Guys from the PBN family have been listening to my show. Brazil's coffee supply just got hammered this year, and now we got Colombia getting hit. Buy that coffee now. My husband drinks it so fast, I can't keep it stocked, man. I try. I buy like 2 every time, and then he's just like, I'm like, we're out?
That's the problem when it's good, yeah.
Yeah, we only have like 2 cans. I'm like, yeah, we're out. Exactly. Okay, there was a fireball seen over Georgia on the 11th. And then on the 12th, meteor 2021 TE13 flew past Earth. It's the 101st known asteroid to fly by within 1 lunar distance since the start of the year. Have you heard anything about that?
You told me about it.
Right? Yeah. Well, okay, fine. You know me, but no news media outlet or anything is talking about that. 101 meteors have come within 1 lunar distance of our planet since the start of the year. It's the 7th so far this month, which is crazy. All right, let's get into earthquake news. On the 9th, 207 earthquakes 3.0 or higher happened, mostly the Ring of Fire in the Mediterranean. Biggest were 5.5 in Papua New Guinea, 6.9 in Vanuatu, and 5.6 in the Sea of Okhotsk, Russia. I have no idea how to say that, so I'm sure I just...
You did good.
Thank you. It sounded good, right? I'm unbelievable.
I'm here for your support.
Thanks, Chad. I appreciate it. On the 10th, 189 earthquakes, magnitude 3.0 or higher happened on our planet. So, it seems like smaller numbers than what I usually report, but these are 3.0 or higher. So our activity's actually upticked. The 10th was when that 6.2 hit Hawaii, which was pretty severe. It was at a depth of 22 miles. So they're looking at the possibility of some major magma coming up in Hawaii. There was a 5.6 in Peru, pretty good size. 4.9 in the South Sandwich, Chin's favorite place. 4.9 in India and a 4.9 in Japan. Then on the 11th, there was 180 earthquakes, 3.0 or higher. We had a 6.9 in the Gulf of Alaska, a 5.8 in Russia, and a 5.6 in Indonesia. On the 12th, there was 343 quakes, but this is only magnitude 2.5 or higher. So it's a little bit of a step down there, even though the number's bigger. We're talking about tremors, things like that, not as much like serious earthquake activity. And that was where am I at? The 6.3 happened in Greece. That was a big one. And that's the same day they got that massive storm with the hail and the water spouts. I mean, this day was horrible for Greece. They also picked up a 6.3 earthquake off the Crete coast. It did a lot of damage. 5.4 in Vanuatu, a 5.3 in New Zealand, and a 5.1 in Japan. On the 13th, 326 earthquakes, 2.5 or higher. There was a 5.0 in Costa Rica. That's not a place that normally pops up on my earthquake watch. So that was pretty interesting. And a 5.4 in Argentina. So that the plate's all on the move there. That's just what that's telling you. On the 14th, we had 344. It's magnitude 2.5 or higher. So we're not talking big. We're talking a lot of tremors. And that was 5.7 in Indonesia was the biggest. 5.6 in Vanuatu. That comes up a lot. And then on the 15th, 358 earthquakes, 2.5 or higher. So you can see the uptick of the tremors happening, and then we'll get more of the 3.0s. And that was a 4.3 that hit Indonesia. It did some major damage at a resort there. 3 people died, 7 were injured. There was a 6.4 at the Solomon Islands, a 5.0 in Honduras, and a 4.9 in Indonesia.
Here's a little fun fact. Costa Rica, over the last 100 years, only experienced 5 major earthquakes.
There you go. Yeah, it's not one that normally pops up on the radar at all. So, and that was a 5.0. It's not like it was a little earthquake. That's pretty good size. Once you're over like 3, you're talking pretty good size earthquake. I don't know how shallow it was or not, though. Okay, and then we go to our volcano activity. For today, we're looking at 27 active volcanoes on our planet. That's still really, that's our higher end of numbers. However, as far as minor activity goes, we're only looking at 13. That's the lower end of the tracking numbers. And unrest with only 28. So we're at the high end for eruption, but we're at the low end for minor activity and unrest. So a lot of those just turned over into actively erupting volcanoes. Or they get taken off the board altogether. But there we go. We got to stay ready to adapt and overcome because this planet is on the move. And we got some changes coming. So everybody stay prepared. Stay vigilant. Be ready to destroy your expectations and assumptions because it's constantly in flux. They're constantly being reformed. All right, you got any closing words there, Chin? Because we're a little bit over. We're going to get the heck out of here.
No, I think you pretty much laid it all out.
You know, we got to hear of all the positive news there at the end.
Yeah.
Like I said, the flooding numbers are actually down. As far as like massive flooding goes, it was just
end on a high note.
Right, exactly. It was just the uptick of like hailstorms and things like that. So it's going to be an interesting winter, guys. Hold on tight. I think it's going to be a fun ride. And for those of you who don't know, I really enjoy these types of things. So when we're in a disaster situation, I get my notes out. I'm like studying what I did right, what I need to improve upon next time. And I hope that, you guys got to take life with a grain of sand and live each day and think how good it is instead of.
Just like your quote we found out of the book today.
That's right. What's all this survival for if you're not living?
Right.
All right, PBN Network, thank you so much for having us. To all my Changing Earth listeners, love you guys. Couldn't do the show without you. And until next time, remember, dream,
survive,
thrive.
Thank you for joining Sarah and Chen for this episode of the Changing Earth podcast. Don't forget to pick up your copy of Day After Disaster at www.authorSarahFHathaway.com. If you love